everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Georgia. I hope you're well. Today I wanted to do a bit of a 2026 reset. I want to get ready for the new year. I want to set my new goals. I want to go through my reading journal. I want to go through my series tracker. I just want to get some bits sort of like organised, ready for going into the new year. So I thought we could do that today. So I have a few things planned. I want to go through my reading journal with you guys. I did actually film me creating this reading journal, but I'm not happy with the footage and the lighting and things like that. I was having issues with my lights that day, so I wasn't happy with how that video sort of ended up, so I just want to go through it with you today. I've also bought a TBR cart that I'd really like to set up with you guys. That's just sat next to me at the moment. I'm going to do that a little bit differently to I think how most people do it, just to fit better with my goals. And then I also want to just go through my series tracker, because there's some sort of series on there that I know I'm not going to be continuing on with, so I want to go through those and get those sort of like taken off and ready to go into the new year, set ready with books that I'm actually wanting to carry on with. So that is my plan. I don't know what order is going to be best for this, because it's all sort of centering around my series tracker a little bit, I do believe, so we might do that first. I think that's going to be the best way of doing this, so let's jump straight into that. I have got a new mic, so if things sound a little bit different, that's probably why. I hope it sounds better. I hope the quality is better. I hope it's more sort of like standard and not varying quite so much, because I know that my sound quality hasn't been great with the background noise and things recently, so I'm really hoping that this is sounding better now going into the new year with new equipment as well, so we're still getting used to that. But let's start with my series tracker. Now we've got to see if I can remember how to do this. Smashed it, first go me. Okay, so if we remember, I was having some issues with this, but this is sort of the most up to date I can sort of get it. There's definitely some changes I need to add on to this as well, and a few new series I could do with adding on too, just so that we are sort of fully set for the new year. So some series that I've recently bought. So I bought the Playing for Keeps series by Becca Mack. I do think that this is complete now. I obviously haven't started it yet, so there are 5 books in this series and I've read none of them. I also bought the Maple Hill series, which is another sort of like sports romance one. I'm really loving my sport romance at the minute. Should we check, is this finished series? I can't even remember. 3 of 3, so I do think this is a complete series. There's 3 books in the series and I haven't read any of them. This is by Hannah Grace. I also have the Off the Ice series by Bal Cabra, and again is romance. It's ongoing. I've not started it. There's 3 out at the minute and I've not read any of them. Did I put the Legacy of Gods series on here? Legacy of Gods, okay. So I had already put this as I have 6. I only had the first one. I now have all 6 of those, but that's on there, which is nice. I also bought the Vipers series by Rena Kent. If you want the full haul for this, I did film this on my short video platforms, and it's also part of my part 2 of the sorting of this library. I hope you like the new background. I hope that you're enjoying that. I'm really happy with it, I'll be honest. I'm loving it at the minute. There is 2 out at the minute. I also bought, if we go to Bloodwing Academy, I now have book 2 of that, so that is, there's 2 and I've only read 1, so that's added another one to my to be finished. Damn it. What else did I buy? I got the new sort of like firefighter romance series as well, Skyridge Hotshots series, which are like firefighter romances, which I am all about. It's an ongoing series. I haven't started it yet. There's 2 in that series and I haven't read either of them yet. I think that is everything that I bought. I'm like 80% sure that that's everything. So there's that. Now I think I could do with updating some more anyway, so I'm going to do that as well now, just because I want to go into 2026 with as fresh and as up-to-date stats as humanly possible. So we'll just go through the books that I read last. I think I figured out which book I got up to last, and I think it was actually book 3 in the Silver Pines series. There's now book 4 to this out, so that is another one that's back to in progress. I also started The Deal by Elle Kennedy, which is the off-campus. So I've now started this as well. So I've read the first of 5. So that's another series that's started. I then read Lightlark by Alex Astor, which I have put down as already reading anyway, because I reread that. I then read Twisted Lies, which is the last book in this series. So this is now a completed series for me. I've read the last book in that one, so go me, smashing that. I then read Once Upon a Broken Heart, so again, starting the series because why wouldn't I? Okay, so this is in progress and I've read the first one in that I then read The Frontrunner. I've got my Goodreads up on my phone because I just find it easier. I read The Frontrunner by Elsie Silver, which is the Gold Rush Ranch series. Gold Rush Ranch. So that is book 3 now read. I then read Nightbane by Alex Astor. So that's book 2 in the Lightlock series. So I'm now further up to date with that. Standalone. So that is everything up to date. I think I've included all the ones that were sort of like new and that I've collected or I've bought. No, I haven't. The War of Lost Heart series, I also picked up book 2. That's now out, but I haven't started that anyway. I do now think that is actually everything up to date. Now, one thing I will say is some might class this as cheating, but there's 2 series on here. This being one, the Cat and Lock series by Joe Callahan. Now, I've read book 1 and I absolutely loved it, but I don't see myself picking up the rest of this series. So I am actually just going to mark this as complete because it's completed for as much as I'm going to read within it. So I'm taking that off. I have only got book 1 anyway, and I loved it, so I'm keeping it. So I have completed what I own of that series, and I'm not going to pick it up again. So I'm marking that off. I'm going to do the same with the Patricia Marquez one. So again, I read book 1 and absolutely loved it. I do think there's 2 to 3 books out in this series now. But again, 3, there you go. I don't see myself picking it up even though I loved book 1. I've just kind of fell out with thrillers. So I own one of them and I have read that one. So I'm going to leave that off of here now because like I said, I don't see myself picking up the rest of the series. So I think that is my series tracker all up to date. So I've just organised them back into complete and in progress. So I now still manage to have 25 series currently in progress. Now my plan for my TBR cart is to put all of the next book in these series into the TBR cart. So I'm not going to put all of the books on my TBR into this cart because I know for a fact they don't all fit. I have minimum of 300 books on my physical TBR, but I really want to focus on completing some series that I'm in the middle of and getting that 25 down to something under 20 ideally. For me, I think the best way for me to keep my numbers down and to keep the series I'm in the middle of down is to actually get them off my bookshelves and to somewhere else that is inconvenient for me. Now I know that might seem a little bit counterproductive, but I think it's going to be the best way for my brain. So my plan is to put the next book in all of the series I am in the middle of onto my TBR cart because I feel like that way it's going to annoy me that it's not with the rest of the series and it's going to make me more tempted to actually read them to get them back onto my bookshelves. Now, like I say, I know it seems to be a little bit counterproductive, but I do think it's going to work for my brain, and if it doesn't work then we'll rethink and we'll change it up. And it might be that I just bring some books down that are on my physical TBR that I would like to read soon, and then we choose our TBR off of the books that are on the cart. When I do my TBR videos, this doesn't mean that I'm not going to touch the books that are on my bookshelves. I will still choose books off of there because I'll want to start a new series. Obviously my standalone books will still be on my bookshelves, but I do want to have the next book in the series that I'm currently already in the middle of to be away from the rest of the series to piss me off. That is what I think is going to work for me. I don't know why, it's just my brain is weird and I think that will work. So that's what I want to do. But I also have my reading journal. Now in here I've already done my setup for 2026. I haven't done like my January setup or anything, but my up to 2026 setup is actually already on here. I just wanted to sort of go through it with you guys. So we first have my goals for 2026. So I've got my goals on this page and my top goal is to read 80 books, which is why there are 80 boxes over here. So I read, as it sits right now, mid-December, I'm on 74 books. But by the beginning of 2025, I was only reading sort of like 4 or 5 books a month. By the end, I was reading like 7 or 8 books a month. So I do think this is something I could probably do. Like I say, I did get close this year, but then in December, end of November, December, we moved house and it really slowed down my progress. So that is my first goal, is to read 80 books. I then have to keep my current series under 25, which is why I want to do the TBR cart the way I plan to do it. I then have to complete my 2026. Now I have done a 2026 setup in here and the 26 books that I would like to read this year, which we'll go through in a minute. And I also want to complete the A to Z challenge. I nearly did it accidentally this year. I'm only actually like 5 letters off completing it, which I think is really good going. So I do think the fact that I accidentally nearly did it this year means that it is actually possible to do next year. And then when I wrote that down, I then actually looked back at my 26 in 2026 and realised that I already have majority of the letters in that, so it's a good start. So this is my goals page. I'm just going to tick them off as I hit them, and then I'm just going to colour these in. So I've been using sort of this colour here, it's just like a light pink. I'm just going to use that to colour in these boxes as we go. I then have my A to Z challenge, as I said before, so I'm just going to write the names of the books in the boxes that it fits to. I really like how that one ended up. I think it looks really nice. I just used my letter stamps and then some stickers that I've owned for ages. I then have my 26 in 2026. So this, you can see here, is all the books that I would like to get read in 2026 for definite. I've picked 26 books, and in here is a mix of books that are already on my shelves and books that are coming out this year. I'm really excited for all of these books this year, hence why they've made it onto this list. I wanted to pick books that I actually think I'll pick up. I'm really excited for all of these books, but I do realise that that's going to be starting a lot of new series, which is fine. We will make it work. I then wanted a place to just write down all the new releases that are coming out this year. Obviously I've got 10 of them on the page before, but I really wanted a place to just write them all down. Now, March is going to be such a good reading month. That box is already full, and I also just wanted a place to write down the arcs that I'll be reading as well. I don't ask for or receive that many arcs anyway. I don't want to accept too many because then I get overwhelmed by it. So I just wanted a place or a couple of lines to write down any arcs I've agreed to, but then I wanted a place to write all the new releases that are coming out that month, so it's all in one place and I can see it all nice and easy to be able to sort of plan ahead for the videos and things that I'll be making that month. And then this is something I did in reading journal a few years back. So this is my best book of 2026 layout. So basically what happens is you take your favourite book from each month. So I'll write my favourite book in January here, my favourite book in February here, and then I'll pick which one I preferred to go forward. I'll do the same for March and April, which will put both of them forward. These two will then get pitted against each other for this one, and then these two will then get pitted against each other for this one until you get one final book at the end, and that will be your sort of like favourite book of 2026. I just think it's a really fun way to sort of visualise your favourite book of each month. I think this is going to be a really fun way. So I'm going to write the books in for all the months at the side, but then I'm going to print a picture of the cover to put here at the end of the year as a really nice way to sort of visualise it all. And I just think it was so much fun when I did it a few years back, so I'm really looking forward to doing that one again. I then have my year in stats, so I really like to see sort of like everything I've got going on that month. So I'm going to swap sides because my arm's aching. I've got how many books I've read, how many pages I've read, how many of those books are physical, how many were audios, how many books I've DNF'd that month, if any, how many 5 stars I've had that month, if any, if I've read any arcs that month, how many books I've bought, if I've got rid of any off my bookshelves, how many books are on my physical TBR, and as a percentage, how many of those books I've actually read. So I do book counts monthly anyway. I've done it since I started actually collecting books, but they're all just on like a note on my phone. So I really wanted somewhere to see if this percentage goes up and down, or if it just stays the same because I buy books quicker than I read them. So I do think this is going to be a really fun page to look back on at the end of the year to see if I actually get any better at reading the books I own and not buying more. I think that's probably wishful thinking, and I don't think it's going to change. All of last year I've gone from being like 20 to 30% of my physical TBR because I've been like catching up and then buying loads of books and then catching up again and buying loads of books. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what this sort of ends the year on. We're now at a page that I haven't actually filled out yet, so I wanted to write all the books and all the series that I'm in the middle of on here as well. So I've given myself quite a few pages to do this, but I wanted to update my series tracker before I did this. So I did want to fill this out today with the books I'm actively in the middle of. So I do think I'm probably going to do this in a minute, but I'm first just going to finish going through this with you and then we'll come back and do this. I've then just done a really simple reading log. This again has a Dutch door, so I wanted somewhere to just write all the books that I read down. So it's literally just going to be listed out, the book and the author of the series it's from if it's part of a series, and I just wanted somewhere to write this down. So I've given myself plenty of room to do that, but I'm really excited to go back and look at that at the end of the year as just somewhere to write down everything I read. I then have my DNF graveyard and my top tier reads, so I want to be putting my sort of like books I just gave up on in here. I only actually DNF'd 2 books in the year of 2025, so I didn't want to give myself too much room, hence why there's only 6 gravestones. Because I don't DNF books often. I know what sort of books I'm going to like enough to bother reading, so I only give myself 6 books for that one. And then on this one, I want to put all my God tier books. So any sort of like 6-star, Infinity Star reads, I just want to put on here. Now, I haven't designed anything on this one. Now, I don't know what sort of reading year I'm going to have, so I didn't want to sort of put anything down on this yet. So it might be a case of I just list them off, or they'll get like a photo. I don't know. I'm not decided yet, but we'll see how we decide to do that one a little bit later down the line. I then just have a little social media tracker and like a brain dump page. So I wanted somewhere to just write down sort of like any progress I'm making with my social media. So I've got a place to write down my YouTube numbers, my TikTok numbers and my Instagram numbers, just as a way to sort of like see if I'm making progress or not. And then I just wanted somewhere to sort of brain dump any ideas that I had. So any like cool video ideas I have or anything like that that I don't really know where to put, I'm just going to put on this page and I'll at some point do them. I hope that makes sense. that is my 2026 sort of setup. So I'm really happy with how this sort of turned out in the end. Like I said, I did originally film a video for this, but my light was being so temperamental and I just weren't happy with how it turned out. So I just thought we could quickly go through it together. But yeah, I do want to add on all the books that are on my series tracker that I'm going to add to the series tracker in this as well, because I do want to have somewhere to sort of jot down the ones that I actively am reading. So we could do that together now, and then what I want to do is put all of them books on my TBR cart. So let's get this set up and ready. Let's go. Okay, so I've written down all my fantasy ones and I've just put little like tick boxes next to or like underneath them so that I know how far into the series I am. I were going to start doing my romance ones, but quite honestly I think I'm going to separate my romances out a little bit. So I want to do like cowboy romance, sport romance, and have them all separate because I have a lot of different series and different like sub genres within romance that I'd quite like to add to this. So I'm going to leave the romance ones for now while I figure out what I'm going to do with that. But once I have like a final sort of thing that I want to do to how I want to get that organised, I will then show you that separately. I think it's about time we sort out the TBR cart, don't we? That kind of seems like the next logical thing to be doing. So yeah, I feel like the next sort of logical thing to do would be to get all of the books off of my bookshelf that are like all the next books in the series. So I've got my list up anyway, so it's going to be really easy to figure this one out. I'm just going to get them all off and then we're going to try and make them look nicer on the cart. So let's just go grab them, shall we? Let's just go grab them. I'm going to get them all on a pile. I'm probably just going to put them on my chair for now and then we'll sit and make it look pretty after that. Let's set up my TBR cart. Like I said, I know a lot of people do like a TBR cart as in all of the books that are on their physical TBR. But for me personally, that's too many. I own far more books than I've ever read. I've only read like 28% of the books that are on my bookshelf. So I feel like having the next book in the series I'm in the middle of will help me stick to my goals of finishing the series I'm in the middle of, and I'm keeping that number below 25. Like I said before, this isn't going to stop me from picking books off of my bookshelves if I want to read those instead. It's just going to help me sort of stay focused on reading the books that are next in the series. So that is my plan. So I've just collected all the next books in the series that I'm currently in the middle of. I must admit that's daunting. That makes me uncomfortable. Okay, there's a few that aren't on here and there's a few that I can't really move, which is a bit annoying. So like for example, The Housemaid, the next book in that. So The Housemaid's Secret. If I move that, the other two just won't stand. So that's going to stay there. I've also got like Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac, which I'm currently reading on Kindle. So I read the first 3 books in the Zodiac Academy and then I'm going to read the Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac and then I'm going to go back in with book 4. But what I'm going to do is put book 4 on here to remind me that I have that series on Kindle. So I'm doing some little things like that, and I mean like 4 things at the bottom of the stack. I do think I'm going to swap it out for my paperback version simply because I don't like that at all. I am debating chucking a few of just other series that I really want to get to soon on here, like the first books in those series, just to sort of keep them in the forefront of my mind. So now we need to get all of these onto the TBR cart. So welcome to the floor of my library. So this is my TBR cart. I just got one of the IKEA ones and I just got it in white to best match everything else in the library. So I just want to get them all on here. I don't really have much in the way of like how I want to do this. I don't know whether to like sort of separate my romance and my fantasies maybe or something like that. Do hardbacks fit? No. Okay, so it looks like either way hardbacks are going up on the top. So maybe since fantasy is going up here with my hardbacks anyway, this one should be fantasies and the bottom should be romance. So maybe we'll try that. We've had an extra idea and I'm really happy about it. So as I wanted this as sort of like a keep it to my goals cart, not just a TBR cart, I have got out all of my books for my 26 and 2026 that are already out and I'm going to put them on here as well. So just to give you a bit of an idea, we've got Diebound, Daughter of No Worlds, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, Night and the Moth. So they will all obviously go on the top shelf. And then I've not fully decided which book I'm going to start with Throne of Glass, but I've just got Assassin's Blade out. So I've got Assassin's Blade, God of Malice, Haunting Adeline, Consider Me by Becca Mack, Wild Love, Soul Searching and Collide. So again, just some more books for the 26 and 2026 challenge and where I want to get to by the end of the year. Everything on this cart, ideally, I want finished by the end of 2026. So I feel like this is going to be such a fun way to keep me motivated. and just watching this cart get emptied. So I think I'm just going to do this and make this my goals cart until I have few enough books I can make this just a TBR cart. So let's add all of these new books on. While I was up, I did also swap out my paperback version of Iron Flame as well. So that's also moved. So here we have my full TBR goal cart. I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. It went better than I sort of expected. But just to quickly talk you through it, I've got all my hardbacks on the top. So this is a mix of the series I'm in the middle of and also just like the books from my 26 and 2026. I then have all the fantasy books that were on my 26 and 2026 just down here, or like my paperback ones. And then on the bottom, I've got all my romances that are from my 26 and 2026 or just series I'm in the middle of. So I am so happy with this. I think this looks really nice. So this is what we'll be using to choose my sort of main TBRs from now on. Like I say, I will probably still dip into my other books that are on my bookshelves, but I want this to be my priority. So unless I'm really feeling something different, then I'll move on. But obviously as we start to finish series that I'm in the middle of and things, this will get more and more empty, and then we'll be able to just put other books on here as well. So that is everything for this video. I really enjoyed it. I'm feeling very ready for my 2026 reads now. I feel like this is going to help really keep me motivated and actually help me reach my goals. I feel like I'm ready with my bullet journal. That's all sort of laid out, minus obviously my romance bit that I want to have a good proper think about. Everything feels ready. I feel prepared. I feel motivated, and I'm really happy with my plans for the year. I'm on it. I'm feeling ready. I'm excited. I'm pumped. I'm ready to go, and I'm loving my little TBR cart. It's not going to live there. It's actually going to live down the side of my desk. There is a big gap between my desk and the bookshelves. So I'm going to make it live there, down and out of the way, but obviously we will need it for videos and things. So with it being on wheels, we can just sort of move it around. But I am so happy with how this all turned out. I'm feeling ready, which was my goal for this. Which was my goal for making this video. I just wanted to feel a bit more prepared and sort of like motivated, which we have done. I'm prepared, I'm motivated. That is everything for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And as always, my social media, my Amazon wishlist, my Goodreads and my business email will all be in the description bar below. Let me know what your sort of 2026 goals are. Obviously mine are very sort of set and basic and just enough to keep me going. I don't like setting too many goals because I do feel like it overwhelms me and I just get a bit stressed out by it. So I feel like the 4 that I've got are really calm and not easy, but enough to not overwhelm me. I'm very easily overwhelmed. Let me know what your 2026 goals are in the comments. I always love knowing what you guys are up to. And thank you so much for watching. I really hope you guys are well. Take care.